150 gun it, I'ma run it in the fast lane. Fast lanes, watch me like a madman.
Welcome everybody to TruExact Show. I'm here with Ellie, and our special guest today is a little out of the realm for us, but it's really cool. We're looking forward to it. Storm Hunter Mark Robinson. How you doing, man?
Good. How you guys doing?
Awesome. Now, Ellie and I are really looking forward to this. A couple people couldn't make it, but us two are here. We're very excited because it's something that like always fascinated me. I'm sure her as well. Like, we'll get to why you do the things you do because I don't know why. But first, tell us about yourself, like where you grew up and how you got into weather in general and like wanting to do this.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I grew up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And, as funny as a kid, I was terrified of storms, like hide under my bed and try not to pee myself scared of storms. Right. So
you sound like me now.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was that I think what scares you as a kid fascinates you as an adult. Right. So like when I got a little bit older, we were at the Toronto Zoo and my dad, with the storm coming towards us, we're at the zoo. And the Toronto Zoo has like they're what they call pavilions. They're areas where they show their animals. There's one underground, and so you're totally like you're very, very safe. So we went we just went running from the polar bears right to this pavilion, and we're sort of underground. So my dad popped open the back door to the pavilion. He wasn't supposed to. I found out later when I was actually working at that zoo. So he popped open the back door, and we watched this whole storm go by. And so it was really like I kind of felt safe, and I was able to watch the storm. Well, from there on, I got super fascinated with storms. But I've always loved the extremes of nature. So I was into volcanoes. I was into glaciers and earthquakes and all like the crazy stuff when I was a kid. I mean, like I was the geeky kid that sat with like science books instead of like sports magazines. I mean, my parents, their house was full of science books and stuff like that. So I was always reading science books and that sort of thing. And so as I got a little older, I actually did wildlife and marine biology as my first degree, and then it didn't go that far. So I ended up in like a office job, and I was really hating it. And so I found out you could go storm. Like I found out, in Southern Ontario, they had tornadoes and storms. And I thought, okay, this is really kind of cool. I wonder if I could just do this. And I went one day, was like right after my first storm, and it was just nuts. I just was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And I chased for a few years. And then a friend of mine, who's actually now one of Canada's foremost tornado researchers, said, why don't you go back to school for meteorology? And I was like, that's a good idea. And so I ended up going back to school for meteorology. Basically the day after I got back from Hurricane Katrina. So I was in just outside of New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina. So
remember where? Were you like in Kenner or like on the North Shore?
I was in Gulfport.
Oh, okay.
So I was just to the east of there. So if you obviously you know the area.
Yeah, my husband's from there, and I went to school there.
Oh, okay. Well, I was in the Hancock Bank building in Gulfport.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, we were actually hiding in the parking garage for that, and there was a whole bunch of Hancock Bank people. If you know the building, they're all in the building, and we actually ended up saving a bunch of their lives, which was great, because they thought they were just going to be up there, everything was going to be fine, no worries.
Your average hurricane, and it was not the regular run-of-the-mill hurricane.
Yeah, no, it was not the run-of-the-mill hurricane. And when I went up there before the hurricane, I was like looking around, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna sleep in the cafeteria. It's gonna be, yeah, that's literally what it was." And they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be fine." I'm like, "Okay, you know what's coming at us, right?" And they're like, "Oh, we went through Hurricane Camille. We should be fine." I'm like, "No." I said, "If the windows blow out, if you lose the front windows, what I want you to do is go I want you to make sure you're in the stairwell, and you should be okay." So about, I don't know, a third of the way through the hurricane, we suddenly saw the back windows to the building blow out, and out came papers, and then computer monitors, and then computer desks, and then servers were just flying out the back windows. And we saw them later, everybody in there, and they actually said to us, "You guys, you realize you saved our lives because we had no idea what to do." And she's like, "I remembered you telling me to like get down and crawl to the stairwell." And she's like, "We rode out the whole hurricane in the stairwell and we survived." She's like, "Otherwise we would have died." And I was like, "Well, that's good. Glad we were there."
Before we get to the science question, or my questions that are not going to be science at all, because I have some weird ones that you're gonna, what's wrong with you, kid? But I have to say one thing. It's good you were into science in Toronto because the Maple Leafs sucked when you were a kid, I'm assuming, so they didn't.
They haven't. How has that changed?
Well,
They
yeah, you're right.
They get out the first round. They get knocked out the first round like every year if they make it. Like,
Your parents
Yeah.
are right. We don't want them breaking your heart. Here's some science books. I know
Yeah.
Ellie's really into science, and I've had enough of this LSU talk between you two. But I will.
Tigers.
I'll Ellie, if you got any like science questions, go for it. Before I get my Hollywood type ones.
Okay, so you had me you worked at the Toronto Zoo.
Yep.
I'm going to kind of hijack your show here, Scott. I do a show called Just Animals, and we have a zookeeper on. Well, she's one of our she's part of the show. She's one of the hosts. So what did you want to initially do with marine biology? I mean, I feel like that kind of could take you into weather because you do need to understand climate and like, tidal patterns and whatnot, because that affects creatures
Yeah.
anemia, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I actually wanted to do marine research, marine ecology, and marine evolutionary biology. Jacques Cousteau was one of my heroes as a kid. And the funny thing is I ended up sort of going and doing what Jacques Cousteau does, but more on the TV side of things than on the full on science side. But I mean, the coolest thing for me is I've gotten to, through my show, is I've gotten to meet all kinds of scientists and do some amazing like science type stuff. That like I get to experience the cool part of everybody else's job, so I don't have to do the paperwork, but I get to go and rappel off a 500-foot cliff into a boiling lake of lava.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. That's on my bucket list.
Oh, it was great fun. It was fantastic. Right up beside a lake of lava where few people in the world have ever been, and actually about I think it was about 6 months after we finished in Vanuatu, a place called Vanuatu in the South Pacific, the volcano that we were in had a major eruption and destroyed the entire area where we were. So we had a campsite set up and everything else, and that has not changed in at least 500 or 600 years. Captain Cook had actually been up to the volcano that we were at, and he had described it exactly as we saw it. And we were one of the last human beings ever to be down inside that crater.
God, really puts things into perspective how little we are as humans.
Yeah. It's
like, it really does. I do want to ask, as far as like storm chasing, like you have the show Storm Hunters.
Yep.
How does a hunting a storm take place? You get word of like a tornado's coming in this area, so you head out there. Like, how does that process happen?
Well, it kind of depends on the storm, right? Because like here in Ontario, we get every kind of storm you can imagine. We do get hurricanes, we get tornadoes, we get blizzards, we get snow squalls. The only thing we don't get is dust storms. I think it's about the only thing we don't get here. So to understand like what's going on, we really have to have a good handle on the meteorology. So like I'll know 3 days out that there's the potential for storms in a given area. So like we'll be forecasting, for the Weather Network, because that's who I actually work for, is the Weather Network up here in Canada. And so we'll have an idea that, hey, a couple days from now, there's the potential for some significant severe weather. Okay, so now it's potential. We'll see what happens. Get closer to the day. Okay, we know a little bit better. Okay, yeah, you know what? Looks like it's going to be a good day. Then day of, I can figure out sort of say, okay, I know that this is going to be here, like in a given, close to a given town, and we'll go there that morning, or even late afternoon, depending on when the storms are coming through, and wait. And sometimes the storms will go up around there, sometimes they won't. And like the other day, I sat around. Where was I? I was near Grand Bend on Lake Huron, and I literally sat there with my feet up on the dashboard for 4.5 hours. until nothing happened. And I said, okay, forget it. I'm going home. And then the storms popped up late that night, and I tried to turn around and drive out and I caught lightning, but it wasn't, it wasn't the extreme storms that we thought they were going to be. If I'm down in the US in Tornado Alley, I'll be down there, and basically I'll be down there for 2 weeks, and we'll drive, like, we put 9,000 kilometers on the car in 2 weeks one year, just driving from Nebraska to, sorry?
Can you convert that to freedom units, please?
How many miles per hour is that?
Oh my God.
All right, it's like 5,500. 5,500.
I was gonna say about 6,000 miles, probably about 6,000 miles. Yeah. See, like in the rest of the world, we use actual science instead of American science. There's a little difference.
Minutes, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My cousin's up in Toronto, and I always say that, and he gets so mad. He's like, "You're the only ones who don't use the real."
No, there's one other country. There's one. Yeah,
one other.
The imperial system.
Yeah, it's like Uganda or something.
It's it's like either Southeast Asia or like in Africa, some small obscure country, and it's like, haha, so we're not the only ones. Yeah.
No, it's really funny because as a Canadian, I really have to know, like, it's really weird because I know my distances in kilometers, my weights in pounds, like it's really straight, and we have to be and then temperatures I know in both Celsius and Fahrenheit. So if someone says to me it's 95 degrees out, I can translate that to, that's about 27 degrees, 28 degrees. And but I know exactly what they'll both feel like. It is really weird being a Canadian sometimes and having to do both units.
Well, you use feet, because in Australia they'll use feet too. It'll be like they'll measure by feet, there. Do you guys do that as well?
Yeah, well, I'm 6 feet tall, but that's like 1.7 meters or something to that effect.
Like, that means nothing. Oh yeah, 1.7 meters. Like, okay, cool.
Mark, how intimidating is I just want to focus on tornadoes specifically for now. How intimidating is Tornado Alley? Like when you're out there?
It's not particularly intimidating. The alley itself is great. It's beautiful. I love driving through Kansas and that. It's the giant spinning columns of air that chase you down the road that get a little more intimidating.
Right.
It can be very stressful at times. I like to think of it as it'll be 8.5 hours of complete boredom versus with 20 minutes of sheer pants-wetting terror.
Yeah.
So, for instance, like Jacqueline and I, my co-host for the show, we actually got chased down the road by the world's largest tornado. And you can look it up. It'll be on Wikipedia. I guarantee it. It's called the El Reno Tornado, which is El Reno, Oklahoma, just outside of OKC. And it was 4.5. Oh, wait, let me translate that to freedom units. 2.6 miles across.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Wind speeds, and the wind speeds in there, and I'm going to give you both of them. 475 kilometers an hour, or about 320 miles an hour were the wind speeds in that.
Nope. I'm good. I'm good.
Listen, I get thrills like watching that at home. How do you like?
You don't leave your basement.
That's true. I'm not an adventurist. Like you might not believe it. I'm not into adventure expeditions.
That wasn't a joke. He doesn't leave his basement.
Yeah, I don't like that. I rarely go in the ocean. I know what I like. I like to know the ending of what's happening. So if I'm going to a tornado and like I don't know what you just said with the width, like I'm not going out there. Like what thrill is that with you? Like is it like a kid on Christmas morning for you?
Yeah, it's you know what, it's an intellectual thrill as well as a oh, there we go, the light just came on. It's as well as like a thrill. I'm straight up thrill. I am like, when you're doing something like thunderstorms, you have to forecast. Hold on.
That's fine.
A little while. Sorry, my little one is here, so she just wants to know how long. I'm like,
hello, little one.
Yeah. So when we look at when we're trying to figure out where a thunderstorm is going to happen, it's you have to do a lot of forecasting, which means you're using, you have to really use like forecasting tools, intellectuals, blah 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 blah, the nerdy stuff, and then later on when you're actually like on the ground trying to sort of stay away from the storms or stay away from the tornado itself, it becomes a little bit more adrenaline. So there's that side of it. So that's kind of the sort of the balance between the two of them. Oh, there's a dog.
Yeah, that's my little one.
Yeah, I should go get my dog. Show you my dog.
Do it.
Yeah, go get Hobbs.
Wait, Hobbs like Calvin and Hobbes?
Yes, like Calvin and Hobbes. So
Mark, so like think about like the concept of what you do, which is admirable. Like, so I am going, like, this is you in your mind. This is me being you. Hey, we got to go chase this F3 tornado just to stay away from it. Like, it's kind of,
we got to go do a Katrina.
Right. Like,
well, here's the thing. You don't know how strong that tornado is until afterwards. We can't measure the tornado ahead of time. You actually have to rate the tornadoes on damage. There's Hobbs.
Oh, there.
Yeah, Hobbs has actually been storm chasing with me a few times. So
you like this?
You know it's sad.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, and I love you, Mark, but when people are watching that show, they only hope the dogs makes it out.
I know. I'm well aware.
That's all they care about. Is the dog okay? Is the dog okay? That's it.
Well, here's the funny thing is, just quick, we were in an EF5 damage path in Moore, Oklahoma, and there was like tons of different news agencies. Everybody's doing something. Well, somebody pulls out a dog from the wreckage. Oh my God. And that became the viral story, was that somebody's dog had survived this tornado. Well, we're talking with, like, we were there like hours after the tornado. So we're helping out. And this girl was like, she was in the wreckage to where we were, and she found her lizard where, like, she had her lizard, she lost her lizard. It was a big deal. She found it alive. And it was like this big thing for us, and like nobody else cared. And it's like, we want to see the dog.
Yeah, as long as the dog made it, and it's sad because the owners might not have, which is sad. But as long as the dog's out there,
he now has a new home, loves it, and his name's Tornado. It's amazing.
That's so interesting what you said. See, I never knew that. Like that. I thought you guys were able to, all right, this is going to be an F2, F3. I didn't know that. So you could go out there expecting like light winds, and then bam,
like
it gets
like,
well, well, I mean, we've got, like, see, here's the really cool thing about tornadoes. Tornadoes are just a part of the thunderstorm itself. They're an expression of the energy of the storm. So if we see a storm and say the tops are at 60,000 feet, right? And to give you an idea of how big that is, that's twice as high as most airplanes fly. And it's twice as high as Mount Everest. So that top is at 60,000 feet. You could stretch, like, you could put the center of the storm in, say, Oklahoma City, and it would make it halfway to Tulsa, right? That'd be the size of the storm. Now that whole thing is slowly spinning, just very slowly spinning in the upper part of the storm. Well, you now take it and you tighten down. And as you tighten and you get, down towards a very small scale, which, when you think about it, even the largest tornado ever on record was 2.6 miles across. That's tiny compared to the whole storm itself. So all that energy of the storm is now concentrated into what is essentially a pinprick underneath underneath the storm. That's the tornado. Yeah. So without the storm, you're just not going to have the tornado. I mean, that's a very simplistic way of looking at it, because there's a whole bunch of different vortices that come from different types of storms. And as you said, dust devils are a type of vortice. Water spouts, like, that's another one. So all these different things. So we never know how strong this one tornado is going to be. We have a general idea. We can sort of say, yeah, you know what? Today we're looking at the potential for an outbreak of really strong tornadoes. But we can't necessarily say that storm right there is going to produce an EF5. That one over there is just going to produce an EF0. No. We just go underneath and go, wonder what we're going to get this time.
That's safe. That sounds safe.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though.
Policy.
You know what? It's funny. They went through the whole thing, went through all the questions, and they're like, "Do you go scuba diving?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I got my license." Oh my god, oh my god. And I said, "Well, I also do storm chasing." And they're like, "Yeah, it's not on the list. Don't worry about it." And I'm like,
yeah.
"Okay."
I drive under tornadoes. Oh, that's fine. It's fine. Tornadoes are fine. Scuba diving is a no.
Yeah, well, that's right. I literally said that. I said, I've also climbed into active volcanoes, and they were like, "It's not on the list. Don't worry about it."
Mark, one more question about tornadoes. I promise that Ellie, I'll pass it to you. Just because, like, I remember seeing the movie Twister as a kid, and like I think Twister did for tornadoes what Jaws did for sharks. Like, it really like was eye opening. Me being like 8 or 9, I don't even remember how old I was. But like, wow, these are like really cool but frightening. And then I was like, Dad, are these in New Jersey? He was like, nah. I'm like, okay, they're cool then. Like, I don't gotta worry about them. So like, can the sisters happen where they split in the water in that movie? Like, does that happen a lot?
It doesn't happen very often, but you can see twin tornadoes. It can happen. It's really rare. And it's basically you get two cores of a thunderstorm right beside each other. And what often happens is you'll have one tornado spinning up, and sort of it gets going, and then as it begins to die out, a new one starts to the southwest. And if they're both fairly strong, you can actually have two happening at the same time. But it's funny that you say New Jersey doesn't get them. And there was a tornado in New Jersey yesterday.
They're very rare. They're very rare, though, is what I'm saying. Like, and when they do happen, it's not like them.
No, yes, they can. They can be just as strong as anywhere else.
I've never seen one, and that's
where exactly are you then?
Central, like the Central Jersey area.
Yeah, that's absolutely where you'll get them.
I have not seen one yet in my life.
Yeah, no, they're still really rare. Just keep that in mind.
That's
no matter what, tornadoes, as much as you see them on TV and everything else, they're actually super, 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 super rare.
Right.
Like
I have to move out of New Jersey, so I got to tell my wife that. Like,
yeah. Actually, the funny thing is, even in Oklahoma City, like I've talked to some farmers, and like I've living here for 30 years, I've never seen a tornado. Even though it's like you figure that as soon as you move into Oklahoma, 20 minutes later, your house is going to get taken out by a tornado. It's actually even rare even then. And something actually kind of interesting is that climate change is actually beginning to move Tornado Alley towards the northeast. So places like Jersey are going to see them more often.
God. Last question about the movie. I always want to know this, and it's probably a no. It's probably a no. At the end where they tie themselves.
No.
Okay, it's not possible. Okay.
I knew the question before you even asked it. It's like the thing about that is that it's not how fast the wind is blowing. It's what the wind is blowing.
Right.
Most of the injuries that happen in tornadoes don't happen because people are getting picked up and thrown far. It's actually being impaled or eviscerated or beheaded by the debris that the tornado is throwing around. So in the end of Twister, if it was truly an EF5 tornado, so you're talking about wind speeds in the 300-mile-an-hour range, just the sand from where they were, just the sand. Now, never mind all like the pieces of wood and everything else. The sand itself would have sandblasted them down to their bones.
That would have been a horrible way to go.
Yeah, it would be absolutely horrible. I mean, they would have been pulled away from the actual leather straps that they were strapped onto them would have bisected them within a few minutes because the winds would be so strong. They would have just gone, their bodies would have gone, and then.
You're telling me the movie's fiction.
The movie is fiction. It's still every chaser I know's favorite movie. And every chaser we have drinking games over it. So
it's a good movie for what it is. You take out and there really hasn't been like a tornado movie done since then. They really have Sharknado, which doesn't count. But
there's been a few, but they've been really bad. So
go on, Ellie.
Okay, so what is it that they get that they end up getting that conical shape? Like how? Like break that down for me.
The shape of the cone. Oh, well, that's actually interesting because it's actually tricky because what you're seeing is actually condensation of basically it's a cloud forming within the funnel itself. So that isn't actually where the destructive winds are. I mean, they can all get mixed up in with it, especially when you get some big tornadoes. But keep in mind that you do get that. You'll get that look to it. because essentially, this is going to sound a little strange, but as you get closer to the ground, the winds actually die down a little bit. So because if you think physics with a few, oh my God, here, I don't even know how you do this in the freedom units. Really, really, really tiny distance above the ground.
You could say micrometers. We can do that.
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, we're talking about like nanometers or like that sort of stuff above the ground. Your wind speed is essentially zero, right? So it has to hit zero when it hits the ground, right? So your fastest winds are about 100 feet up. So like that, so you get some extraordinarily fast winds a little higher up in the tornadoes. That's usually where we have to measure it. But when you're talking about like 300 miles an hour versus, I don't know, 240, it doesn't really have that big a difference when it comes to, slamming into the side of your house.
Yeah.
I want to ask, I know I don't want to say like the most beautiful natural disaster, because obviously there's devastations, like with people losing their lives and homes.
Yeah.
Like when you witness it, like people say, like, when they go sightseeing, they see a mountain, they realize, wow, this like world is like amazing. Is there one like natural storm you chase that you just look at and you're like, damn, like this is like mesmerizing to just be a human witnessing it?
Yeah, I mean, thunderstorms are that. I mean, really, like, it's a tricky thing for chasers because we want to see these storms. We want to see it is an incredible phenomenon of nature. Just to jump back to Twister for a second, there, I actually talked to the second unit director on that movie, and I'd heard a rumor a long time ago was that when the directors saw, and the art directors and everybody saw what these storms actually look like, they said, we can't put that on camera, on screen, because nobody outside of the Midwest or the Tornado Alley is going to believe that that's what they look like. So we can't do that. And I asked the guy, I said, look, is that a true rumor? And he's like, yeah, it's totally true. They're that spectacularly incredible to see, that it sort of drops your jaw. Like it sort of gives you like, I look up at these storms and just go, oh my God, it's just an incredible thing to see them. What we don't want to see, I mean, my ideal thing is to watch a big tornado go through an empty field.
Right, yeah.
Go through an empty field. I am happier than a pig in you-know-what, right? Unfortunately, they do interact with human structures. They interact with humans. And destruction happens, death happens, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the kind of thing that is really, really difficult. The extremes of nature can cause havoc with what we do. Being inside a volcano, I was standing right beside a lava lake, and I knew that this volcano could quite easily erupt, and it had the one in Africa that I was in, and it had erupted and killed a bunch of people in the city called the city is Goma. Which was, right where the Rwandan genocide had happened. So this poor city had already suffered in a huge way. I mean, we were basically in what had just finished being a war zone. So, but still, it was absolutely amazing to stand beside the lava lake and realize that I'm standing in a place where very few other human beings have ever stood. And yet, at the same time, this could kill a lot of people if it was to erupt. So there is that sort of that thing. You sort of have to balance both of them.
Yeah. What would you say is the most unpredictable storm, like a hurricane, tornado, like if you had to say like that people should not be out looking at because you don't know what's gonna come?
Thunderstorms.
Great question, by the way, Ben.
Yeah, thunderstorms. That's the one. And the thing is, it's not the tornado that's going to get you. It's not the tornado that's unpredictable. It's the lightning. I like to say that you'll never see the one that gets you. I've been very, very, very close to being struck. Like, 10 feet across. Sorry?
Were you holding an umbrella, like just a metal skeleton of an umbrella? Just be like, hit me, lightning.
No. I was holding a metal tripod instead.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. Even better.
There's that. Yeah. Well, I heard I was so close to this, and this actually happened to me twice now. I was so close. I heard the crackle of what we call the step leader. And the step leader is essentially a plasma trail that comes off of all the different high things around you, including the top of your head. So when you look down and all the hair on the back of your arms is standing straight up, you go, oh. And I heard the crackle come off the telephone pole that I was standing beside, and I knew what was about to happen. And I literally clamped my hands over my ears and dove to try and get under the Weather Network car because I knew what was about to happen. And it was lucky I got my hands over my ears. I would have had permanent hearing damage. It was that close.
Jeez.
So we always say when we talk about the unpredictability, that's the one most unpredictable ones. And it's the most dangerous for people. I mean, the biggest killer in any storm ever is, like in thunderstorms, is lightning. And like you can get them out. You can get the bolt that kills people out of any storm. It doesn't have to be a super powerful storm.
And does the rubber thing work? If you're holding rubber, you won't get struck, or is that a myth?
Oh no! If you're holding rubber, you'll at least have something nice to feel as you die. It's great.
Okay, that's good. I always thought since my handlebar grips are rubber, I could ride my bike in a storm. So I
know that you can. We'll definitely find you welded to your bike. So yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, it'll be a really cool thing to see. Well, I mean, I joke a little bit, but the whole rubber tires thing from cars is a myth. Because the lightning just jumped 2 miles, like down to the ground to your car. It's not going to have trouble with about 3 inches of rubber. What it actually is, you're actually quite safe inside your car. It's something we call the Faraday cage effect. So lightning wants to get to the ground the easiest and fastest way possible. Well, when you're talking about a metal cage, it actually is the fastest and easiest. The path of least resistance is around the outside of the cage. And a car is nothing more than a metal cage. So as long as you don't have the door open and you've got your foot on the ground and you're filming the storm, you can be just fine inside the car. Now, every single electronic component in your car is going to be fried, but you are going to be fine. I mean, especially modern cars have so much electronics in them that they just get fried by even the slight charges off of a lightning bolt. I mean, a lightning bolt, the amount of energy in a lightning bolt could power your house for like a week. So,
that's good.
We're talking about, and they've actually found ever since iPhones and everything else. I mean, the AirPods are actually pretty good because this doesn't happen. But if you're like older phones, or if you go way back, iPods, with the headphones, they've actually when people have been struck, the lightning actually vaporizes the wires that go up to your ears, so you end up with this scar across your body of where your earphones were.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, like, and on the opposite side, now that we know the myth that rubber doesn't help,
well, it doesn't conduct electricity. That's the only.
Holding metal, that is true. Like, do not.
Oh yeah. I mean, don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing. All that a lightning bolt is a separation of charges, right? So like it's the same thing if you like run along like like if you do this in the summer or the winter time, which I used to do when my brothers, you rub your feet on the carpet and you go right?
Yes.
Exact same thing, only on a far grander scale. So that when you have the thunderstorm actually going over top of you, you actually have the bottom of the storm is actually very negatively charged. So it starts to induce a positive charge in the ground below you. So if you're holding a metal pole up into the sky, what you're doing is just allowing all that charge to come up you and into that metal pole and get concentrated right at the tip of the pole. Well, that's a great way to start those step leaders, as I said, that go up to meet the plasma conduits that are coming down from below. And wherever those two touch, that's where the lightning bolt will happen.
And the rubber grip on the metal baseball bat doesn't do anything.
Nope, won't help at all. Not even in the slightest.
Ellie gets so upset that I like ask the dumbest questions.
You know what? There are no dumb questions.
She's so science driven, and it's like the questions I ask. Oh, sorry.
There are no dumb questions. Trust me, I have gotten every question you can imagine. So
You have
And-
sex with a tornado? Like, please tell me someone's asked that.
Mostly Americans, yes.
Makes
Aha! That's the next question, so I beat you to it. Anyways, how many times have you seen an anvil cloud?
Oh, almost every thunderstorm has them.
What's that? Sorry.
No, you don't
What
know.
that is? Here we go. When thunderstorms get going, they have what they call an updraft. And that's sort of the main, like if you watch a cloud build, it kind of looks like cauliflower building up.
Mhm.
And any cloud will look like that. Well, a thunderstorm is a larger version of that. And so the updrafts in those storms can reach, like the actual speeds of the winds going up in those can get up to about, I think about 80 to 100 kilometers an hour, if not faster. Again, I'm trying to do the conversion in my head really quick. So what happens is those things build up so high that they actually hit the jet stream itself. And the jet stream actually takes off the top of the cloud and actually begins to blow it downwind. And so if the updraft is strong enough, it'll actually build into the wind itself. So you'll actually get what looks to be an anvil on the top of the cloud. So you'll see that anvil streaming off into the distance. And it's those are like the biggest thunderstorms have those big anvil clouds on them. And that's when I get excited. That's when I know we've got a decent storm on our hands.
Now, how did you get the okay for the show? Did you present like to the network, we want to go out and chase storms? And they're like, you want to what? Like,
no, are you kidding? Actually, it's kind of a weird. We actually had I'd actually put it together as a pitch to Discovery Channel, and Discovery Channel had said yes, let's do it. So we had all the pitches ready. Although like it takes a long time to pitch a show and actually get it going. And Discovery Channel said, yeah, let's do it. And Bear Stearns went under. So in 2008, and then everything got shut down. So we were literally buying tickets to go down to California for the wildfires for the first show. And Bear Stearns went under, the whole Lehman Brothers. You remember that, where everything just collapsed. Well, then they just shut down all shows. And so when I started working for the Weather Network, I was still storm chasing, or I'd been storm chasing, and then I started working for the Weather Network. And one of the producers there said, hey, Mark, you've done a lot of this storm chasing stuff. Have you ever thought of like doing a longer segment on the Weather Network? And I said, funny you should say that. Took out the pitch for Discovery, dropped it on her desk, and she was like, this is awesome, let's do it. And we just went from there.
that's awesome. How'd you get the co-host with you?
Jacqueline, actually, I met Jack, ironically, in front of a tornado in Ada, Oklahoma.
Oh.
She got in the way of my shot. Yep. And she was actually chasing with another Canadian storm chaser friend of mine, and we sort of chatted away. And then Jack, she was working out in Regina, which is out in the prairies, and she got offered a job at the Weather Network, so she moved to Ontario. And she said, I said to her, one day, hey, do you want to? I'm starting up this show. Do you want to come with me and do some storm chasing with me? And she's like, yeah, I'd love to. And that was it. So I put Jack through all kinds of stuff. Poor Jack was deathly sick on Mount Everest. What else have I? So that was a good one. She nearly drove us into a tornado in Oklahoma. We've had some fun. We've had some great fun together.
That is cool. And you seem like you're really like enjoying what you do, which is so cool to hear. Like, it's just like,
it's the best.
It's something I would never do, but I really enjoy hearing other people's experience.
Well, I've traveled to Antarctica. I've gone across the Drake Passage in a ship, which was barfy. I've been through almost the entire Northwest Passage. There's just one small segment of the Northwest Passage I haven't done. I've gone seal hunting with the Inuit with Jacqueline. We've gone. We were actually also filming polar bears while we were up there, so they were on the ice with us. So like nothing between us and the polar bear. That's a little wild when you get a bear the size of a car. We've been to base camp on Mount Everest. Travel all through Nepal. I've been to, as I said, I've been to like a war zone in Africa. I hiked, I've been to the South Pacific, in Vanuatu, and got lost trying to hike up a volcano. So only I can get lost hiking up a mountain. We're trying to get to the top. What else have I done?
How does that? You
Oh.
just go north, like?
Oh yeah, well, it's not quite as simple as that. It was a massive what they call caldera, and so what it is you go up this one slope and you sort of reach the top, and then you have to go down that slope because it's the edge of the crater.
Right.
And you go down the slope, but the caldera itself was about 5 kilometers across. So just a massive thing. And in the center of that, or off to just the one side, was where the vent, where the lava lake was. Well, I had sent everybody ahead of me. I said, okay, guys, you guys go ahead of me. I got to film because it was just me. Because I had to, we couldn't afford to send a cameraman with me. So it was literally just me and my camera. Actually, and one of my other friends, George Karunas, was actually waiting for me up at the vents. And so I was walking and everybody else went ahead. So I said, okay, all the porters went ahead and everything else. So I'm completely alone and on this trail, and it's all rainforest. And so I'm walking down this trail, and we come to a stream which was completely dried out, and the trail disappears. So now I'm hunting for the trail. And I put my water down to film and didn't notice that I kicked my water over. And it's 95 degrees with about 98% humidity.
Oh,
so
cool.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. And then once you get beyond the rainforest, which I managed to find one of the trails, you get into a sea of barren, just a whole area, like a desert of just barren rock and sand and these big little canyons through. See, the canyons are so high that you can't really see out of them. So you had to keep climbing up on top of the ridges here to try and figure out where I lost the trail. Oh my God, it was wild. It was fun. So.
Did you know that you were named one of Canada's 100th greatest modern day explorers?
I did, and I actually got, from my work, I got champagne for that one.
Oh,
so.
nice. And then how'd you find that out?
What was that?
How'd you find that out?
I got told, yeah, they called me and told me that I was on there. I didn't, somebody else nominated me, or they just picked me out. I have no idea how that happened, but I was like, oh, you've been named blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? That is awesome.
That is
so
cool.
I'm actually part of the Explorers Club, which is a hoity-toity. I shouldn't say this because I love the Explorers Club. It's so much fun. But there's people in there that like Neil Armstrong and Sir Edmund Hillary, and this is the people that are in the Explorers Club. So I have no idea why they let me in, but they did let me in. So.
Yeah, but that's great to name drop though. Like, oh, me and Neil.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Neil and
well, yeah. I mean, but the thing is, like, when you join a club like that, you go, oh, I've been to all these places, and then the people that you're like having scotch with are like, oh, well, I actually last week I walked across Antarctica, and it wasn't bad. I had some fun there. Another guy was like, oh, well, I canoed through the entire Northwest Passage, and I'm like, oh God, I'm nothing. But these, I mean,
you say, well, I saved some kid's life because he thought that rubber could stop him from getting struck by lightning. That's what you say.
There you go. Yeah.
None of them have done that.
No, they've just rescued people out of floodwaters in the deepest Amazon, and I am so privileged to be a part of the Explorers Club. It's actually really cool. The people I meet there are just the most interesting people. They have wild stories, and some of the stuff they've done really inspires me to keep going. COVID has nearly killed me, but I, now that things are beginning to sort of maybe see the light at the end of the tunnel, we're starting to look at doing more, starting to get back. So I'm actually looking at coming down to the States for hurricanes.
Hey, if you listen, if you come to New Jersey, I will sign a waiver and come out and chase a storm with you.
Oh, dude, you're totally welcome.
If that's allowed, I will do that.
I have chased hurricanes in New Jersey.
Okay, well, you got my email, you got my number. Let me know if that happens. I will sign a waiver and I will do that if that makes
the storm, and whatever happens.
Hey, come up to NYC. I mean, I've done. Of course, I did Sandy and was it Irene? I think it was Irene was the other one a couple of years before that. The two really nasty ones for New York. I was in the Rockaways for Sandy.
I'm sure my wife was gonna love hearing that you're gonna take me on a storm chasing adventure.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you,
Or she'll be very happy.
well, hey, I did one of the big snowstorms in Washington D.C. and we nearly got arrested by the Secret Service. So there was that.
Oh, I did that. That's fun.
Yeah, we were driving around the White House looking for a good spot to sort of jump out and go film at the White House.
Yeah, not
suspicious.
Well, it was in a storm chasing car. And so we're sitting there and we're pulled up and we're starting to get all our gear out because there's one place you can sort of stop and walk down sort of one of the one of the sidewalks there out in front of the White House. And this big black SUV pulls up right beside us. And we're like, it was a Suburban. And so we look over and the window just goes down. Like you can't see through this window at all. It just rolls down. No. And there's a guy in there and he goes, hey. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, we're storm chasers and we're just filming. We're from Canada, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, that's what we thought. And he's like, that's awesome, guys. He's like, he's like, we've been watching guys for about the last hour. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, Obama's in the White House right now. So, we just had to make sure you guys are cool. And he's like, no, I know you're storm chasers. That's awesome. Have fun. And that was it. I
picture Obama like looking with like binoculars.
And Joe like, let me see.
Yeah, that was 2015 actually. So like things were getting a little bit more intense. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
My experience was not that. It's so funny you say that because that same year I was outside his house in Chicago and actually almost got arrested.
Oh geez.
Yes.
Rightfully so.
But that's how I know it's the black Suburbans. It's the black Suburbans because they have I feel so bad for his neighbors because they have the whole street like. Their whole half of the street is just barricaded with cement blocks. It says this is a big warning. And I was like, oh, maybe we can just walk down. And then I was like, let's just walk down. And they don't know if we don't live here or not. And my boyfriend, my husband, he was boyfriend at the time, was like, they definitely know who lives in these 6 houses, like on this street. Like they're going to know. I was like, oh, come on, let's go see. We'll see we're someone's cousin. No. All of a sudden the lights come on the car and it starts like driving slowly up the street. And then, we're like, okay, we're just going to run away.
Why would you think that would work? Hey, we're someone's cousin. Yeah, no, you're not. Get the hell out of here. Like,
I don't know because okay, well, I have a picture in front of the Secret Service sign in front of Obama's house. So
there you go.
Great. Mark, go on.
I was going to say, I was in the G20, the protests in Toronto. So that one got wild. We were sandwiched between the protesters and the cops. So there was some near arresting on that one too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Are you in the storm chasing van then? Or no?
No. We took the subway down there and we're just there.
Man, we got flipped over, but like, wait, we're on your side. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, we were right there when that happened. Like that happened just down the street when the cars got set on fire and everything else. It was like, oh, this is getting fun. So
Mark, this is really cool. You've been more than like grateful for your time, but like I want to ask you a couple more questions. But tell us where we can catch the show and just your Instagram, and I'm sure Ellie will talk to you about her podcast at the end of this. Go on.
Yeah, well, you can actually see my show on Amazon Prime. We actually have it on Amazon Prime, which is really cool. It's called Storm Hunters, and you can see it now. If you're in the States, Amazon Prime is the only one you can see some of the shows, not all of them. There's actually 33 in total, and I think we've got 7 or 8 up on Amazon Prime. We're working on getting more, but you can also see it online at theweathernetwork.com. And then if you're in Canada, we play them on the Weather Network on a pretty regular basis.
Cool.
What are your thoughts on pirating?
My thoughts on pirating? Oh, that's tough because it's one of those ones where like I really want people to see the show, but at the same time it's like I don't get any residuals on the show, so it's like, hey, go for it. Feel free to pirate it. Tell your friends.
Right. So gray area. It's a gray area.
For my show, yes, but honestly, I know how hard the creators work on any given show, on any given podcast and stuff like that. So yeah. No, feel free. Go for it. No, I'm kidding. I'm contractually obligated to say, please don't do that.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, my Twitter is StormHunterTWN. My Instagram is also StormHunterTWN, I think. Other than that, Stormhunter27. I'd have to
Yeah, I
check
think
it.
you got a number up there. I think it's 27.
Oh yeah, it might be 27. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have all your information on here on the show. I got two
Awesome.
more things. I know, Ellie, I said I didn't have gun in your head, but I did have a couple that we do this last segment. We're not going to have a competition here, but I figure you're a fun dude, so I figure I ask you a couple. Why not? So it's a quick questions, gun in your head. Just answer what you feel here. They're kind of quirky.
Oh yeah, I got it.
All right. Would you rather have the nickname Hurricane Mark or the Eye of the Storm?
Oh my God, that's good. I like Hurricane Mark. Gotta say that. Gotta like that
Like
one.
a boxing
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. I gotta say that.
Alright, and
My nickname through university was Shaggy because I looked like the guy from Scooby Doo. So
yeah. Would you rather watch Twister for a year or only play the board game Twister for a year?
depends on whether it was Naked Twister and whether my wife was involved.
Hello.
Well, you'd have to watch the movie naked as well, I guess.
Oh, there you go. I'm gonna say the movie.
Yeah, the board game's a little tough. One more just to make up because I kind of blindsided Ellie with this. I know you're on the show Angry Planet, right?
Yeah, that's my buddy George's show.
Right. So would you rather only watch for 1 year Angry Planet, or the only game you could play for 1 year is Angry Birds?
I knew you were going to do Angry Birds.
Oh man, considering that I see George all the time and I'm kind of sick of him, I'm gonna go with the birds. I'm going with Angry Birds. Yeah.
Makes sense. Who wants their friends to like think you want to hang out with them? I hate.
Yeah,
them.
no, exactly. He was just my best man at my wedding and stuff. So no worries.
No, you can kick him to the curb.
Mark, thank you very much for coming on. This was really cool, really different from stuff we do. So honestly, I'll be watching your show, and if you do come to New Jersey, I will sign that.
Pirating it. Don't lie, Scott. We'll be pirating it.
I will sign that waiver if you come to New York and New Jersey, and I'll be happy to chase a storm with you.
Oh yeah, well, as long as you guys can keep the COVID cases down, I will be down there.
That's not gonna happen.
That's the requirement. This is why I'm terrified to go to Florida right now.
Yeah.
So
oh, don't.
Yeah, I know.
There, don't.
Well, we got back. We were in Disney World 2 weeks before they closed the border.
Oof, lucky.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Lucky you made it back.
Oh yeah.
Mark, thank you very much for coming on. You've been very gracious. That's a new word I learned today on my calendar. Gracious.
You guys have been great fun. Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.